All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We've got a big 10-game slate to talk about, some big contests on DK. Nolan, I'm sure you're pretty ready to fire up some NHL tonight. What do you think?
I'm ready. Got some interesting contests here. DK's got basically instead of the $8, they've got what, a $5? So
$4.
$4. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, all the big boys are going to be in that one. We don't get our nice non-pros tournament tonight, but that's all right. Sometimes you gotta go in.
you
Feels
firing
like
in that?
what's that? Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
I'm gonna do tonight.
yeah, me
Fire
too.
up those Pulak and Burns lineups and let the rest of your lines do the
That
do the easy lifting.
yeah, that sounds like a pretty fun Thursday, honestly. So yeah, well, we'll get to Burns later. I'm interested to hear his ownership. What what else are you looking at here as far as ownership? We always like to lead it off. If we have new watchers or new viewers,
Mhm.
we usually like to talk about ownership just in general to start off the stream. So anything that's jumping off the page to you right now?
I think it's going to be pretty spread out. San Jose 1 will get some ownership. Tampa 2 always. Pittsburgh 1's been hot, so they're going to get their ownership. Um, what else? I think those will probably be the most owned lines. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I always say this, but I think it's going to be somewhat spread around. I think Tampa 2 has a chance to be the
Yeah,
highest owned stack. I think,
yeah,
unfortunately, San Jose 1, I think, is creeping up there the more I talk to people.
yeah.
Um, St. Louis and Ottawa, they've got a pretty cheap couple lines, but even three lines you could really talk about in St. Louis, I think. Um, I think Ovechkin's line will have a decent amount of ownership. And then
Yeah,
still trying to gauge
especially since
Philly
they
here.
were the nuts line like the last time they were in Philly like a week
Yeah.
ago too, right?
Yeah, that's fresh on the mind. I'm sure people got burned or made a bunch of money off of that.
Hmm.
Um,
We all thought that was a smart fade because they were probably going to line match against Couturier line. So I'm going to go back that fade tonight unless you tell me otherwise. But
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I'm not intentionally fading them, and that's one of the first games, one of the first few games we'll talk about. But yeah, I'm really not getting to much of the Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Wilson line, which is always worrisome. But I hope they're around double digits ownership, just so I can say, okay, I'm at least comfortable with that fade. If they're 5%, then I don't know that it's that great of a fade. So I'm hoping if I end up not getting to them, that it's they're at least 10% or they're in the teens, hopefully,
hmm,
and I can allocate that ownership elsewhere because there are quite a few spots that I really really love. I think this is one of the best slates we've had in a while, so
nice.
I'm pretty excited about it.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm just deciding whether or not I should fire into this big tournament, the 50K to first. So
How much is
we'll
how much
see.
is the entry?
It's the spin, I think. It's 360. So I don't know if I'm gonna do
60
like a
spin.
main lineup and then kind of I'm doing the 150, but I don't know if I'm gonna have a main lineup tonight. So it would be some tough decisions. So I'll have to decide that maybe during the show or after the show whether or not I'm gonna fire one or two bullets in there. So that'll be the big decision for tonight. I feel like we're on all the good plays though. I think this is gonna be a good night. So uh, what do you say? We get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Pittsburgh and Buffalo. We've got a 3.6 implied total for the Pens, 2.8 for the Sabres. Casey DeSmith and Carter Hutton in net. What do we see new here?
So we got some new Sabres lines. Vladimir Sabaka up on the top line, it looks like, with Palmville and Skinner. I like the second line. Reinhardt's back up on the second line. So Evan Rodriguez, Connor Sheary, that's pretty nicely priced. Nice filler stack there. And then you've got the all former first round pick underachieving line with Tage Thompson, Middlestat, and Alex Nylander. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those lines. Usually Buffalo deploys their like bottom six in a very defensive role, but I don't know that will be the case tonight. I don't know if Middlestat's that kind of player, so we'll see. It's going to be tough to tell. And then on the back end, Montour's back up with Rasmus Dahlin, or he's on the top pairing, and both of those guys are on the power play one as
Mm-hmm.
well. So, and then Zach Bogosian's out, Casey Nelson is in.
Awesome.
And
Good.
Lawrence Pilut is just non-existent.
Yeah, they
And
don't want to play him.
I I think nothing changes for the Penguins. They're hot right now. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're going to keep it together.
I think it's pretty much the same. Brian Rust practiced today, but he's not expected to play.
Yeah, cool. So a couple things here. Bluger stayed on the second line for the most part. If anybody else played with Malkin, it wasn't super significant. So that was interesting to see that Bluger actually did stay up there. McCann obviously stayed together with Crosby and Gensel. Neither of those lines were very impressive at 5-on-5, but this is kind of a different animal in that it's a way easier matchup. They're going up against Buffalo, Eichel-less Buffalo. Even if he's not a great defensive center yet, he'd still much rather not have to go up against him, which is what they're going to have here. I think we might see the Johan Larsson, the fourth line, for Buffalo go up against Crosby some, and obviously you give the lean to Crosby there, and then I think the Malkin line is a pretty decent value, but I'm also looking on the other side with the Rodriguez line. I do like that call by you. So Buffalo too has kind of been our joke lately, but they've been pretty good at 5-on-5. So I think there's merit in playing them tonight. I think they're going to avoid Crosby, which is the line I want to avoid. And Malkin and Kessel not great defensively, and that line's super cheap. So, yeah, Buffalo too, but being serious about Buffalo too for once. So I'm excited.
I like it. Yeah, they fit in pretty well with your other like high price stacks. So, and I think let me just take a look at their power. What are they on the power play? You've got 2/3. You got Rodriguez and Reinhart on that power play. So that's not bad.
Reinhart's been really good, and I know a lot of that's been playing with Eichel. But his individual numbers, like his shot attempts and scoring chances, have been really, really awesome lately. So I think this line could do some damage, especially against Malkin and probably the Bjugstad line some as well.
And then I think you have to downgrade Skinner with those line mates. That's pretty weak.
That's really rough. So no matter who they go up against, I don't know that they're going to have a big advantage to against anyone. What about defensemen here?
Yeah, I mean, Montour seems to pop in your projections, and now he's going to have an increased role, and he's still reasonably priced, so I don't mind going with that. And then I still think Schultz is still reasonably priced as well for his role, $4,800 on DK. That's not bad at all. I noticed a lot of pros have been using him even at that price, so I'd have no problem firing him up. And then I think, that's probably it from this game.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly Montour and then Schultz if I'm stacking Pittsburgh here for the four-man. Either of the top two lines, it's going to be Schultz. I don't know that there's a need for Trotman tonight as much. That was kind of a weird slate. I don't even know. What did he end up doing that night?
I
know I lost a ton of money,
but points.
1.5?
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
It was tough. It was a tough slate. Although, like, I had the big defensemen. I had, like, Vlasic and Werenski in, like, 8 different lineups, so it was all right.
Wow,
I think that
you should be a millionaire.
I know, I should be, except I'm not, so.
Well, maybe tonight. There's always tonight.
Right?
So, yeah, I like Montour, obviously the bump to power play 1, and he's just a guy that I like playing. He's a peripherals guy, and I think he's going to have a chance at block shots and just play a bunch of minutes here, getting the bump up to Dahlin's pairing.
Yeah, and you won't be owned as well, so that's always nice.
Mm-hmm. All right, next game, Montreal and the New York Islanders, 2.8 implied total for the Canadiens, 2.6 for the Isles, carried Price and Thomas Greiss in net. Do we have any changes?
So the one thing I noticed from the Islanders, those Islanders lines are all new, right? Forgot to look. I think have they changed them up, or that's from last game?
Last game they did.
Yeah, so everything's the same. Islanders 4 gets a lot of ice time. They are they actually lead the team in 5-on-5 ice time sometimes, so they're basically the fourth line. So if you're thinking about playing the third line, I'd say don't, just play the fourth line. And then on the power play, so we have Boychuk is out, and then they've switched things up. Devin Tays is on the top unit. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of things, one thing I noticed with Montreal was, although like Jordan Wheel is listed on the third line, it was actually Armia who played mostly with that third line last game. So that's something to keep an eye on in rushes. I think it was like a 50-50 split, but Wheel was down with Thompson and Lehkonen. So I don't know what to do with that Montreal three line. I kind of like it, but so it might not have full correlation there.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see the low total here. My totals that I come up with, I had a little bit higher, especially when you factor in what how bad the Islanders have been defensively lately. Top I think they're first over the last 10 in scoring chances against per 60 and high danger chances against per 60. Still, that holds.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe some of that's regression and tough matchups, but this is a pretty tough matchup for them, I think. You got a pretty balanced Montreal team, and then this Danault line has been so good at even strength. So that's the one that I'm mostly targeting for Montreal. I might get to also a sprinkle of the Domi line, full power play correlation, and then they've also been really good at generating offense at 5-on-5. I don't think it's a Montreal 3 night for me. And then I really like the Barzell line on the other side. So I think this is going to be played at a little bit higher of a pace than what Vegas thinks.
Expects,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and, Leonard's not playing. So I think Grice is a good deal worse than Leonard. So you like that if you're playing Canadiens. And then I'm not super worried about price. I think Montreal's going to give up their fair share of scoring opportunities here, especially to this Barzell line. Like, that's a really talented top line. And I know we don't have a ton of data on them yet, but they're just too cheap for how good those guys are individually, I think.
Do you worry at all about the Islanders? Like, we've been on the Islanders at various points this year when their prices have gone down. Like, do you ever worry about just the ice time, the amount of ice time that they get, just because like the fourth line plays so much? Like, I feel like they're, but I guess that's baked into the price, really. But
yeah,
it just seems like I just never get the Islanders right. I don't know. Like, how many times this year have we been on the Islanders and they just haven't really done anything?
I mean, yeah, a couple times. I know that they've kind of been the nut stack or whatever, but it's more of a price thing here. Like, if the top line's going to see 15 minutes, like, you need 2 goals out of them, and you need a handful of assists in there as well. But I just think they're way too cheap. So yeah, that is a little bit concerning just as a macro thing. Like, you'd rather not have coaches that just roll lines and play their fourth line 12, 13, 14 minutes like the Islanders will do. But I think if they're rolling and they're generating, they might see a couple extra minutes and then they're fully on the power play together on that top unit as well. And you finally got Letty off that top unit. They still hate Polak, but at least we got maybe a young, exciting defenseman in Taves. So there's some things to like, I think, on both sides here. Shea Weber as well. Where are you at on defenseman here?
Yeah, I think Polak's been hot lately, so I kind of like him. And then Taves as a punt isn't bad if he's going to get the power play time. He's been pretty decent. Seems to have some solid offensive upside, and that's all I was really getting to. Letty's priced back up, so no thanks.
Yep. No thanks on Letty. Just makes it easier to kind of click off of him at 3,900, not playing the top power play. That was basically all his value was derived from. So it's Polak or Taves, I think, very clearly for the Islanders. I lean Polak. I'm going to have him bunches of one-off across my 150. And then Shea Weber. You see him as a D value in Osmo's grades. But, that makes sense based on what he's done for the season. Like, when you use a huge sample, he's not that great. He's not going to project out that well, but lately he's been shooting like a madman. And the Islanders have been giving up a ton of chances. So I really like that at pretty low ownership, I think, for 6,200 for Weber.
It's a good point, too. I think the only other thing to consider in this game, though, I think Grice has been great this year. He's fifth in the NHL in high danger save percentage. He's fourth in save percentage.
Is he really?
Obviously, yeah, and then he's ahead of Leonard in both those categories. So not by much. Like, they've both been great, but I like the X factor when you're looking at games like this, or when you have Price and Grace and net, is that you could be right on everything, and the goalies steal the show. So
sure, yeah,
that's the only caveat, I think.
That could be the case. So maybe I was wrong about saying that Leonard was a good deal better than Grice.
It's 1 year, right?
Yeah. Leonard's been, I just know Leonard's been really good, so I would prefer to see him in net. Grice shut out the Jackets last time out, right? Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Interesting. All right, do we have anything else here we want to mention before we move on?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, let's go to the Caps and the Flyers. 3.4 implied total for Washington. 3.3 for Philadelphia. Braden Holtby and Carter Hart in net. I'm not seeing a ton of changes here, but let me know if you see something.
No. Washington never changes anything. They're like, if every team was like them, I'd be out of work.
Yeah.
Land change article. For the Flyers side of things, I was kind of interested in the second line as a kind of filler stack because they're sort of cheap. But last game they split up everything. Every Flyers second, third, and fourth line didn't get weren't on the ice for more than I think 10 or 11% together. They just rotated all game long. So, and I couldn't find any reason other than I think it was just coaching decisions. So that's something to consider if you want to roster Philly too. It could just be a one-off or it could be trend developing.
Yeah, I think they're just going to hammer Philly one here as far as minutes. If you just look at Couturier and Giroux's minutes last game, they were up around like 25 minutes. So I don't know. It could have been weird with the amount of power plays and penalty kills they had. Who knows? Those guys kind of play at all strengths, I believe. I know Couturier does. But even Lindblom played 20 minutes, and he was on power play too. So, I mean, they're just going to hammer them.
Too. Like, he's like been top 20 in the NHL in shots for or something over the last month. So, it's nuts. So,
and I use that data. So he's projecting out really, really well for me. It looks like he is for Osimo as well, even at 4,300. Like, we saw him. He was basically free for a while there. He was like 25, like 28, 3K. But his price has come up, and he's still not dropping at all as a value for me. They're going to go up against this top line for Philadelphia is going to go up against Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Wilson, and like that's a matchup that it's tough for them to shut down. But I think like Caps one is more than capable of giving up their own chances. So I'm all over Couturier, Lindblom, and Giroux. I thought we were going to get them at pretty low ownership. They're getting a little bit talked up from what I hear. So maybe you're not going to get them at like 5 or 6%, but maybe 10%, and I'm going to be well over the field at that here.
Yeah, I like that call for sure.
What do you like? We talked about Washington one right at the start, but you want to just tell everyone what you're doing with them?
No, I'm just gonna I'm probably not gonna get to any of them, but I'm only entering about 20 lineups in that $4. So but I think I'm gonna go full fade and just sort of think that you're assuming that Couturier is going to be the like they're just going to hard match him for the most part. So and then like those like Couturier's numbers and Couturier's line are always like among the league best, and I haven't checked on them lately, but the last time I checked they were like allowing 6 or 7 high danger chances against. So even though Ovechkin lit them up last time and he can go off at any point, I'm just going to stick with the numbers here and fade them and hope that Couturier can shut them down.
It's the power play too. Like Washington one, you're not getting a big discount on them. So if Philly starts taking a bunch of stupid penalties like they did last time, then we could be in trouble with the Washington one fade. But at even strength, this is a really tough matchup for them. And like I said, you're not getting a discount. So when you're paying this price for a line, I want both a good even strength matchup and at least neutral power play matchup. And then the Flyers kill has actually been pretty good, especially this month. So I know it's only a couple weeks, but still much, much better as of late. And then I kind of like you mentioned Washington too a little bit, right? You like them?
No, I didn't. They're priced up, but I wasn't sure what to do with them because they kind of like they'll probably get the better matchup, but they're also like they've been priced up just because they've been playing well. So I don't know what to do with Washington 2 here. Like they're priced almost as though they're a top line, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's the only issue with them. I think it is a good spot for them. So on a raw points basis, I do like them. When you use an optimizer, you're trying to force in value though. So I'm not getting to a ton of them unless I kind of tweak some stuff or leave a couple lineups, which I think I ultimately might do because they're going to avoid Couturier, I would think. And they're going to go up against this Philly depth, which I'm not worried about really at all. What about your Washington 3 line? You think there's merit in playing them tonight?
No, I don't think I'm going to play them. The price is up as well. Like, so I was looking at them earlier, but like Lars Eller's 4,500 on DK, Connolly's 4. The only cheap value there is Hagelin. So I'm not getting to much of them today. They have a C grade and a D value from Osimo, so I'm going to take a pass. But if that price comes back down and their numbers stay relatively decent, then I'll get back on. Yeah,
they're not dirt cheap, which is my issue. So I don't think that I'm going to get to them. If I do, it would be in some crazy lineup where I'm going like, I don't know, like not even Boston, like Tampa 2 with like, I don't even know, a mid-tier stack, and then you get Burns and like Shea Weber or something like that, where you're just trying to just force in 3 forwards that are correlated.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they're like you can get to Anaheim 1 for the same price.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great matchup, but I'd still rather play that.
Yeah, I think I would too. What about defensemen here? Carlson, Sanheim, Provorov, Gostisbehere, any of these guys catching your eye?
Yeah, not getting any. I saw that Carlson was projected well in your ranking. So anytime I crunched, I got a lot of Carlson. On the Philly side, it's just like for me, it's just I can't figure out. They're all evenly priced. They're all in kind of plus roles. So like I'm choosing between 3 defensemen here, and I have no idea which one's going to go off. So I'm just like end up fading all 3 of them basically.
I like Carlson. He's in a tier behind a guy by himself, but he's right there with like Shea Weber, and they're actually the more and more I tweak projections, they're going to be like basically neck and neck. So
yeah,
they're right around the same price. I'm probably going to end up splitting my exposure to them, but
yeah,
going to be over on both those guys. It looks like.
And I would personally I'd rather just go to Trouba in that price range as far as the Flyers defensemen. So I don't know.
Baseball season, you can sign up.
Right? I get to lose money on baseball. I'm excited.
Yeah, you can sign up right now, actually. So I thought we hadn't announced the package. I guess we just didn't formally announce it. It's just been on the site. So if you guys go to the site and you're interested in baseball, you can sign up for that now. And there actually is a discount in one of the articles. I think Alex's article, Osmo's article in the
That's a
MLB
great
guide.
article. Too,
Yes.
By the way, if you're new to fantasy baseball, read that article.
Yep, and if you're trying to build projections or just like basic ones, you need to read that article. Like, that's free content. I don't know that it should be free, but it is. So go take advantage of that. Read that MLB guide, and I'll actually link it as we move into the next game. But do we have anything else to talk about here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Let's go to the Blues and the Senators. 3.5 implied total for the Blues. 2.4 for the Sens, Jake Allen and Anders Nilsson. In net, do we see any changes here?
Yeah, so Colin White, it's a game time decision. I think he's not expected to play. Some debuts for the Senators. Max Veronneau, coming from Princeton, is going to make his NHL debut if White can't go. He's on a line with Lindbergh and Smith, Balcers, Tierney, Ryan, and then that top line stays together with Duclair, Pajot, and Kachuk. And then on the back end, Eric Brandstrom, who was acquired in the Mark Stone trade, who's probably the second best defense prospect in the NHL, averaging a half point a game in the AHL this season. He's going to be on their third pairing and their second unit power play, it looks like. I'm not sure if that's guesswork on Daily Faceoff's part or what. I didn't actually confirm that. And then Christian Wolanin is expected to go on the top unit as well, with Ottawa 1 getting full power play correlation. St. Louis, Tarasenko out again. Lines look to be basically the same as they were last game, I think. I didn't notice any changes anyway. So,
they're the same.
Yeah, interesting spot here. Wonder if I kind of think St. Louis 2 and 3 are nice filler stacks, and I actually kind of like the other side of this game as a contrarian play, taking Ottawa 1. Just because people will be on the Blues, and they're not going to be as good as they are with Tarasenko. So maybe a bit of a contrarian move with some upside for a cheap top line tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. The Blues have just been so good. I just have trouble targeting against them, especially with like Pajot and Duclair. I don't know. And we've seen Ottawa blow up their lines. I know lately they've been better about that, but there's still always that possibility, kind of that extra risk with playing Ottawa skaters. I know they're cheap, but I'm worried that the Pajot line just isn't going to have any good matchups. Like the Sundqvist line has been good. Bozak line should be fine. And then O'Reilly's just been elite offensively and defensively. So
I guess that's what I was going to ask you, because like it's going to be Pajot will go up against the O'Reilly line, right? So
actually, I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. And
because if they don't, then I like that line, I guess would be the caveat. And if they do, then it's probably a terrible play.
They kind of went with the Colin White, Ryan, Zach Smith line, but now White's not in. So I don't know. They could go back to Pajot against opposing top competition, but like you're going to put Duclair against O'Reilly, he's going to get destroyed, I think, and Kachuk too. So
that's true.
I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Maybe they just kind of roll lines here. But for me, it's going to be all about O'Reilly, Shen, and Robert Thomas. And then I shouldn't say all about them because it's really the top 9 here, mostly the top 6. But it's going to have some St. Louis 3 as well. Just, I think, really good values on both the top 2 lines, both getting good power play time, 2 guys in the top unit from both of the top 2 lines, and then you can play Pietrangelo double A grade from Osimo as well. So just kind of keeping it simple in this game and playing the team that has just been really, really awesome. O'Reilly have just been enjoying playing him more and more. And then he's got capable line mates, especially Shen, but I don't think Robert Thomas is all that bad either. A value from Osimo's grades as well.
Do you think people will be off St. Louis one with Tarasenko? Like, have you noticed their ownership lately?
I don't know. I don't remember what they were owned the other night, but yeah, like if Tarasenko was here, like it would make the stack super expensive, but or more expensive, I guess, by a good margin. But people will leave off Robert Thomas, I'm sure, just because he's not correlated on the power play. So I'll just play him. He's basically free. And he stuck there the whole game last time, and they kind of destroyed. I can't remember who they were going up against, but I was looking at the box score of their last game, and they just did exactly what you'd expect them to do. They're just really, really good. O'Reilly's been awesome. So
okay, fair enough. I think my Ottawa one take is probably a little short-sighted. I don't know why. I was just trying to get off St. Louis tonight, but it makes a pretty makes a lot of sense. Do you have a preference for either like St. Louis 2 or St. Louis 3?
2 probably just because of the power play time, but like 3 also was really good, and it was against the Coyotes. That's what it was. The whole team just smashed Arizona as far as like shot attempts.
It's been pretty good, eh?
Yeah, Sundqvist has been solid. So
and then I always like Steen.
Yeah, I mean when he's 3,600, I think he's okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of it's more like a Washington 3 thing where you probably get to him more on a short slate. Here, I don't know that it's very necessary, but the matchup at 5-on-5 is going to be really good for them.
Yeah, sounds good. I like it.
Anything else here?
No, I'm good.
All right. Actually, let me check on Jake Allen here. See what. He's going to be probably my highest exposed goalie tonight. Don't see him getting a lot of high danger opportunities against, which you like. So,
yeah.
People want us to talk more about goalies. I always forget just because I correlate a lot, but I'm playing a good amount of St. Louis, and then for that reason, I'm getting to Allen.
Yeah, I like that call. He's not that expensive too. I mean, he's 8,000, but he's not. Well, he's kind of like mid priced on this slate. So, as far as some of these top end goalies, I guess.
Brandstrom, by the way, what are you doing with him?
Yeah.
Are you playing?
No, I mean maybe 1 or 2. I think like people will want to play him because he's a new, like people gravitate towards new plays, and after he's cheap. He's got some talent, but it's not like he's like mind blowing. He's half a point a game in the AHL, so it's not like he's tearing it up. So generally, I will be fading.
Yes, Eric. Yes, definitely like St. Louis 1. And then I'm not like intentionally fading Brandstrom. Like I'm not that stubborn, but I think he's gonna get a little bit of steam. I'm not sure what his role is gonna be like. He's technically on the 3rd pairing. That's probably a top 4 pairing, honestly, with DeMello as his line mate. But I don't know. I think he's okay at 2,500. I just haven't found the need to really get to 2,500 with how I'm approaching tonight.
I mean, I think like there's so many good defense plays tonight, so I'm not getting it much. But.
All right, let's go to Tampa and Detroit. Should be a pretty one-sided game according to Vegas. 3.9 implied total going to Tampa, 2.7 to the Red Wings. Vasilevsky expected to go against Jimmy Howard. What's new on the Red Wings side here?
Is there anything?
I don't know. It just doesn't look like a good roster. Maybe Advocator? I don't know. At least I haven't had to think about Advocator.
I honestly didn't even look past this. Oh, I knew the third line's together, though. I mean, how can you not roster Glendening, Helm, and Abducator when they're together?
It's just fire emojis all over.
Yeah, looks like Lucas Witkowski's suiting up. I didn't even include that in the article.
That's a good idea.
Exciting stuff, I know. I actually like Tampa's all the same as well. It looks like Strawman, I think, is not going to play tonight again. I was thinking, I wanted to get your thoughts. I hadn't actually looked at the price yet, but Detroit 1 as a contrarian filler stack. You had any interest in that?
Yeah, I mean, so just that's the Detroit line I would go to, and I did have a little bit of interest in them until I looked at what they did last game, which was just a complete disaster. No one played more than like 6 minutes of 5-on-5 together. So did you catch that either? I
No, I
mean,
didn't.
I was just looking at that now. So I mean, you
Wait,
could
I thought Detroit 1 was together.
let me see.
Maybe
I'll
I'm
double check. I could be off. I was going pretty quick, uh, but I did want to make sure
No,
that
you're
those
right
guys were
actually.
together.
Yeah, I mentioned in my article, yeah. So not a single line above 10%.
Okay, yeah. So they got smashed too in that game. So maybe that had something to do with it. It was
Yeah.
3-1, but Montreal doubled them up almost in shot attempts, or they did double them up in shot attempts for and
So bad.
almost scoring chances, 35-20 at 5-on-5. Like
Yeah.
they just got smoked in that game, despite what the score says.
So
Uh,
like, I guess the real question is, what's your Tampa exposure going to be here? And like Tampa 2, your favorite line, or
Yeah, Tampa 2 is up there. They're top three for me for sure. So they're going to
yeah,
end up somewhere in that range, along with like Philly 1 and some of these other high price stacks that I really, really like. So, yeah, I mean, just nothing holding me back from them. Like if Larkin was in the lineup, maybe I'd be a little bit worried about playing expensive Tampa 1, if they were going to see a bunch of Larkin. But Athanasiou is just not the caliber of center that Larkin is. And just they've got like the five best players in this game. Tampa does. Like it's
yeah.
just a clear mismatch here. Maybe they're sleepwalking through this game like we saw with Toronto yesterday. But
What
man,
about like last time, the Tampa Bay was favored by like, or was implied for like 4.5 goals. It was the D that did all the scoring. Was that the Ottawa game?
oh maybe they didn't. They just didn't even need to create quality
Yeah.
chances to score.
McDonough
And that's how good
scored.
they are.
Hedman scored. I think Chernak scored, and maybe one more. So maybe was it Sergachev? Maybe. So, Sergachev 4 defenseman goals. So there we go. Maybe they just roster 3 Tampa defensemen and call it a day.
Yeah, just go Hedman and then McDonough, then throw in Cernak in the old flex spot,
Yeah.
and
Pretty good.
just profit. But no, I mean, yeah,
Tyler
nothing.
Johnson scored last game too. Was the last game, so
Twice.
you might not get that.
Right.
Like now that he's kind of gotten off the schneid a little bit, you might not get that ownership discount as much. But like his price is still really cheap.
Yep. I mean, just all over Tampa 2 especially. So just the point line, if anybody doesn't know what I'm considering Tampa 2. The Stamkos line, I like. It's just, I don't know. I try not to play too much of two separate lines on the same team unless the price is really good. But I'm mostly going to stick to Tampa 2 here on the Lightning side. And then I just don't see myself playing much Detroit 1 just because I'm not confident they're sticking together here.
Yeah, I agree.
What about Hedman here? C value on Oswald's grades.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'd just rather pay up for pay the $500 for Burns. So I'm not gonna
That
Hedman.
for me, or I'd rather pay $100 less for Weber or $200 for Carlson.
Or Yossi too.
Yossi, yep. I haven't even talked about Yossi. I haven't even thought about him yet.
Yossi's hot fire.
Yossi's a
Sick.
stud.
So.
All right, what about goalies here? I'm assuming we're not playing Howard.
Yeah, no, I'm good. On that.
He's like one of my lowest projected goalies of the entire season.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like he.
What's your take on Vasilevsky? You think he's going to get enough shots here to warrant that high price tag, or are you just going to go elsewhere?
I do. I think he's going to see okay volume here, actually. And that's kind of why I wanted to play some Detroit, just on the chance maybe it's an off night or, they somehow go with Domingue and they just say, oh, this is a winnable game. But yeah, I do have him projected to see pretty good volume. And then just the goals against, I don't know how Detroit's going to create a ton of quality chances here. So I'm hoping it's just a lot of low danger stuff. And Vasi, I mean, just one of the steadiest goalies in all of the NHL. So. All right. We ready to move it on?
Move it on.
Dallas and Minnesota, we've got a 2.5 implied total for the Stars, 2.6 for the Wild. Just over 5 implied total. We don't see that all that often, especially this year. Bishop and Dubnyk in net. Looks like the Wild have kind of switched up stuff.
Yeah. Is that a 5 implied total for the game?
Yep. Just over
Oof.
5.
I was kind of interested in getting on this new look Minnesota 1 line with Parise, Stahl, and Fiala. Luke Kunin is back for the Wild. He's going to center Zucker and Donato, or Zucker as we call him in Canada. And then On the Dallas side of things, the only thing that I noticed really was Jimmy Benn. From about the second period on, early in the second period on, he was on the top line last game. So we might be back to that whole thing where he ends up playing with Seguin and Radulov. So, yeah, downgrade hints on that stack, I think. If you want to get contrarian, maybe you could put Benn, but it's a pretty bad matchup for both sides here. So thus far, I've just been ignoring the entire game.
Yeah, I think whenever there's like a 5 or 5.5 total and every other game is 6 or 6.5, I try to look for reasons to play something or find some sort of edge, because I think that's most people. Well, first of all, most people aren't playing 150 lineups, so they might not need to get to this game. And there's a real chance that this is just kind of a grinded out 3-2 or 2-1 game and the scoring's spread out. But it only takes a couple goals at these prices for a line to be relevant on the slate. Like the Stahl line, especially when you look at this price, it's a pretty good price for three pretty talented players. And Fiala's playing really well. Parise's looked awesome. And then they're trying to kind of jumpstart Stahl. It seems like he's been going through a little bit of a goal drought. And that line, I would guess, doesn't see much of Seguin, Radulov, and Benn especially. But yeah, that would be the one I'd probably take a shot on in this game, is Minnesota 1, just because they're cheap. And I think everyone else is just going to kind of ignore this game. Well, not everyone else, but you know what I mean. I think this is going to be like a 4 or 5% owned line, and I think they've got a decent shot to do some damage here against Dallas.
Yeah, all right. I'm glad to hear your take there, because I think that one of the advantages as well of taking this line is like, especially if you're in low dollar tournaments, one, it's not going to go owned, and two, I don't know that everyone will be up on the new formation or the new combo, I should say, just because Parise never plays with Stahl, right? So
yeah, never. That's weird.
Yeah, so that's an interesting stack tonight for tournaments, I think, especially like if you're in a lower price tournament when no one's going to have it.
Yeah, and I think if you are going to Dallas here, it's first of all, it's super expensive. Hence his price is coming up, and then he, like you mentioned, he got dropped down finally. So I think I'd probably just stack it up with Benn and hope that Minnesota's taking a bunch of penalties here. Because Minnesota has been taking a lot of penalties. They haven't been killing them off very well. And they haven't played well at home for whatever reason. Like their last 10 or 12 games, they've been awful on home ice. I don't know that it's going to be the case tonight, but that's how I would play Dallas if I was attacking them. I would make that manual change on Fantasy Cruncher with Benn on line 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else? I don't see any defensemen that I think we're going to be heavy on.
No, I think this is going to be pretty tight defensive game, pretty low event. So Vegas obviously agrees. So, yeah,
all right.
That's all I got.
Cool. I don't have much on the defense front here. What about Dubnyk, actually? 7,600. You messing with that?
Yeah, I could get in a little bit. You can always steal a game, but haven't got him in any of my lineups yet. So
yeah, I've only got him in a couple sprinkles of my lineup, so I'm actually not super excited about him. Same thing with Bishop. All right, Boston and Winnipeg, we've got a 2.9 implied total for the Bruins, 3.2 for the Jets, Tuukka Rask and Connor Hellebuck in net. Looks like most things are staying the same except one glaring difference I see on Boston's top line.
Yeah, so David Backes is up on Boston 1. He was there for a bit last game as well. So they have, I think Heinen's down on the third line, is that right? And then they've got this kid, Paul Carey, coming up from Providence to play on the second line with Krejci and Coyle. He had pretty good numbers in Providence, almost a point a game. So that's a little bit interesting on the second line there. At least Krejci's line mates are better than they were when Lee Stempniak was on. And then Charlie McAvoy is going to take over Torrey Krug's role in the power play 1 with Krug out. So, and then I don't know if it's Kampfer or Clifton that draws in, but not that it really matters.
Looks like both are in. At least that's what we're showing right now.
Who else is out? Oh,
Grizzly, yep. All right, how are you attacking this game? Let's hear from you first.
This is an interesting game, right? Yeah, so I don't know. You're always preaching to not attack the Bergeron line, which makes sense, but Backes makes that line a lot worse. And the Bergeron line hasn't been as good this year defensively, I think, or I haven't looked at their stats in a while, but there was a period there where they were actually giving up a lot of chances. So maybe it's not as good as the perception is out there. And then the Jets' top line's been giving up a lot of chances, right? So I'm curious as to how owned this Bergeron line is going to be, because it seems like it's in a really good spot. And then on the other side, yeah, I mean, Winnipeg's not going to be owned, I don't think, too much. So, and you can kind of downgrade the Bruins a little bit with Pastrnak out, with Krug out, with DeBrusk out. So their numbers might not be indicative of how good of a team they are. So I don't mind a Winnipeg 1 stack here as a contrarian play, because I think people will be scared off of Bergeron.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on the other side. I don't think that's going to be really shocking. All right, so I hate attacking Boston. Just in general, like when I watch them, they always look really solid defensively. It seems like I know they've had a couple big blow up games. One super recently against Columbus when I just completely whiffed on that. So maybe I'm not the best person to talk about the Bruins.
It's random though, right? Like it's just one game. Like I wouldn't let it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is just one game, but we're trying to predict everything in one game samples. So. I don't know. You got to be right sometimes, right?
I think you're right more often than not.
So actually, Winnipeg in their last home game, they did something I think pretty smart. They went up. They did little with Lowry and Tanev. That saw about half the share of the even strength ice time against the opposing top line. I'm worried that they do that again tonight, because I'd really like Boston 1 to just see all Scheifele line. I think that would make me really confident in playing a bunch of Boston 1 here. And I think they will see sometime against Scheifele, but it might be more of a 50-50, 60-40 split with Winnipeg 3, which makes it a little bit of a downgrade. Still, I think Bergeron and Marchand can handle pretty much anyone in the NHL. So, I am playing Boston 1. Hopefully, they get hard matched against Scheifele. Kind of wishful thinking there, but Backes, yeah, he's bad, but he's 2,900. It's kind of the same thing we talk about with Kassian and Hyman, although he's been much better, and he's way more expensive than Backes. He's just free and playing with really good players, so I'm willing to play him. And
absolutely,
I do like Winnipeg 2 when I'm going to Winnipeg here. So Boston 1, Winnipeg 2, they get to avoid Bergeron, which of course you want, and they kind of get to hopefully beat up on some of these second and third lines here for Boston.
Yeah. I mean, your take is I think the right take, right? Like that makes sense on all this. I think Boston 1. Like I just looked up some of their numbers. Like over the last 10 games without Pastrnak, they're still good, right? They're going up against top competition, and they're allowing like 12 to 13 high danger chances against, which is like, not excellent, but and then the scoring chances against are about like 23 to 26 per 60. So kind of middle of the pack, but always playing like, in every single situation against top competition. So you kind of have to factor that in, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I think your take's right. But I also think that the ownership is not going to follow the Jets at all. So I'm interested in Winnipeg 1 as a GPP play here, just because maybe the variance is a little bit skewed in their side.
Sure. But, I mean, if you think they're going to go like 5% owned here, like at Winnipeg 1 at 5% owned, I think is always an okay play.
What do you think their ownership will be?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, this would be great to have ownership projections, because then I can tell you basically. But like I got 3% of Winnipeg 1, which I think that I'm going to be close enough to the field where I'm not going to hate myself if they go off. Like Winnipeg, this top line is just one of those that I'm almost always okay playing them at home if they're not going to be super chalk.
They're a little bit matchup proof, right? So, and then just look at how many different lines are going to get, how many price lines are going to get ownership tonight with Tampa 2 and Pittsburgh 1 and San Jose 1
Pittsburgh
soaking
2,
up so much that ownership. Then it's possible that they go greatly overlooked here and are like 5% owned. So that's my reason for getting to them anyways.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think that's pretty sound reasoning. But I am playing more Boston 1, and I'm playing more Winnipeg 2 here.
What about game stacks in this? Do you think this could shoot out just with like the sort of lack of talent on either team's back end with all the injuries?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of guys that are missing here. So you mentioned Krug, Grzelcyk, Bufflin, Morrissey. Those are big losses. Those are top 4 defensemen for both teams. So, you could definitely see this game popping off here, and ton of talent, especially in the top 6 for Winnipeg. It's not like Boston can't match them. You saw what they did last game. Even though they got stomped, they still put up 4 or 5 goals against Columbus. So it could be a similar game here. Maybe Boston really does miss these guys that are out for them on their back end. What about McAvoy's going to play a ton of minutes here, I think. He's a really awesome play. He's going to come up in projections when I update, because I completely whiffed on the Krug news. And Trouba, I think, is still in a price range where I'm comfortable playing him as well. Double A grade for Osmo, of course, helps.
Yeah, he's always in play, especially with all these guys out. So, definitely going to put him in lineups. And then, McAvoy just might pivot off a few of my already built block lineups and just pop him in. And
I like it.
I'm
okay playing McAvoy above Polak.
Really?
Yeah, I'm okay with playing that. I like targeting Winnipeg these days. So more and more on McAvoy as the minutes go on. We good on this game? You got any goalie exposure on either side? Hellebuck or Rask?
No, not much. Trying to avoid goalies in this game. You?
I don't have much Rask. I do have a little bit of Hellebuck. So he's kind of in this bunch of like 8 to 10% goalies that I have, because I always spread it out on goalie. That's why I don't think they're very fun for me to talk about. I don't think you guys get a lot out of me talking about goalies when I correlate a lot. So, yeah, it is gross, Boom. Hellebuck is not a super fun play this season, but that's what I'm doing. So, there you go. Ducks and Coyotes, 2.6 implied total for the Ducks, 2.8 for the Coyotes. Probably going to be Gibson going up against Darcy Kemper.
Is this game nationally televised tonight?
That is a good question. Why? Why do you ask?
I'm just kidding. It just sounds like a terrible, terrible game. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes, Steven, of course. I'm a fan of Hannah B. Who's not a fan of Hannah B? She's a little awkward, but she's great. Bachelorette talk. Anyways, I don't know if this game's on national TV, but which side are you looking at here, if anything? We've got another 5.5 total here.
So we saw a little bit more consistency with the Ducks lines. They actually kept them together last game a little bit. I think everything's the same on the Arizona side. I know Daily Faceoff had some weird Arizona lines. I wasn't sure what was going on with that, but I think they're all the same. They have like Panic on 2 lines. I think that just might be an error. So pretty much the same, I think, from both sides. I'm just like, I would probably have a little bit of that Keller line, but this game's pretty much just staying away from it.
Yeah, I'm not. I just have an affinity for bad teams, I suppose. And actually, Arizona's not that bad. So they're close to making the playoffs here. They can knock out the Wild.
Can you point to like many games where like a line on Arizona has gone off and been like, it just seems like their scoring is
one comes to mind.
What, the Richardson game? Is that what you're talking? That's what I said. Other than the Richardson
game.
Okay.
Then no.
It's just
that's a lie. No. On Saturday, the Dvorak line was really good. They scored twice.
Did they?
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'm just off base here. I don't know. I just got sick of playing Arizona. So, but is that the Dvorak line? Is that the Keller line?
Yeah. Keller, Dvorak, Panik.
So maybe that's the line you go to.
That is the line I like. So that was the line that kind of the first look. I thought, okay, price. They're going to avoid Getzlaf. Not even sure you need to avoid Getzlaf, but this Raquel Shore Silverberg line, I think, is going to be pretty up tempo. They've already been up tempo so far, and it's just kind of the only thing I can point to in this game and be like, I want a decent amount of this line. So just the price is right, and the matchup I think is also okay. Plus power play time. Anaheim still takes a ton of penalties, and they just don't kill them off very well at all the whole season. So, yeah, give me some Arizona 1, I guess they're considered now.
Yeah, I guess so.
What about the other side? Do you have anything at all?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good on this. I don't need to roster any Ducks tonight. I don't know. I guess the Raquel Silverberg line might be a little bit appealing, but
I just wanted to mention them just on the other side. I think that matchup could be potentially pretty high event.
Would they go up against the Galchenyuk line then?
So they're probably going to go up against Dvorak, Kalerponic, and Kempe, Galchenyuk, and Fisher. So yeah, Arizona's been bad.
Both those two lines, yeah, okay. So that's actually, you're right. Like those are pretty nice matchups. Like Galchenyuk line's been one of the worst defensive lines in the league, right?
Yeah. Which one? Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk's
whatever line
disaster.
He's on, it's one of the worst defensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
So as a filler stack that's cheap and unowned, I think that's a pretty smart call.
All right. And then kind of that shoreline has really been the only one that's stayed together. So
yeah,
the Ducks have been really frustrating lately.
Oh, and the other note on the Ducks as well is like their the shoreline. Well, they're kind of split up, but it was actually the second power play unit getting the ice time. If that affects your decision making at all, they got a 70% share last game, and the first unit didn't get much, I think. So there's kind of a weird split, but Lindholm's getting more of the power play time.
I would guess with Raquel and Silverberg on the one unit and Getzlaf and Perry on the other one, they would probably even it out for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think at worst we're probably looking at a split. Which kind of sucks. You'd rather have them stack one up. But, I mean, whatever. Are they even in playoff contention anymore? They're a disaster, right?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Just playing for pride right now.
Yeah, playing for pride. All right, Predators, and speaking of playing for pride, the LA Kings, 3.1 implied total for the Preds, 2.3 for LA. Not sure on goalies yet. That's pretty standard here for both these teams. Rene and Quick would be your supposed starters here, but we just don't know. They've pulled the audible on us with Saros and Jack
Campbell. They
Campbell
always do that. These teams are terrible. Even Sutter, after Sutter left, there's LA still does this stuff where they don't announce their goalie. Is there a reason why they don't? Like, is there like an organizational reason why they are so crappy at announcing who's starting?
No, just coaches. I don't know.
I just figured it was Sutter being a dick, but
there's a handful of coaches that do this.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I was kind of interested. Like, it looks like Arvidsson actually ended up playing that other game, which would have been nice, but every other line in the world went off, so it didn't really matter. Was that the Calgary night, I think? So Arvidsson's back. He's on the second line. Simmons is on the first line. I would have liked Nashville won a lot here as kind of a contrarian stack that I think might go overlooked, but I don't know if I like it as much with is Arvidsson back up on the top line?
I'm seeing that right now. I don't know if that's true. As
of writing, I thought it was the other way around, but maybe if Arvidsson's back up there, I'm intrigued by that just because LA's defense core is so terrible. Even though they get a matchup against Kopitar, I think that they've got some of the best numbers as the line in the league, right? So could be an interesting pivot tonight if people aren't on it.
I don't see where I don't see on Twitter where that would be. So maybe do some digging after the show. Because I would really, really love to play that line at that price in LA, and it's late-ish breaking news, so maybe people will kind of be off of that line, or they'll have their lineups played, or they'll have their lineups made. Did RV play last game? He did, but he played on the second line the whole game.
Yeah.
So that's I'm gonna look at that once we.
I'm taking a look right now, but these beat writers are kind of useless sometimes, so it's a little bit hard.
Nashville's usually really good. They usually have some really good beats. Yeah.
Sometimes, like, these guys go on road trips, though, and, like, their focus goes way down, I've noticed.
Yeah, other things get in the way.
Like, they're in LA right now enjoying some palm trees, and I've seen one guy just tweeting, like, pictures of Venice Beach. Like, yeah, do your job, buddy. Let's go. Yeah.
I was searching earlier today, and I figured they had kind of a later skate, just this game being on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But, I'm not seeing anything. Maybe I'll have to do some digging into some articles.
Even Daily Faceoff didn't update anything there, so it's kind of strange.
They didn't?
No, like, they didn't, like, have a tweet, saying, hey, this is what's going on, so.
So I wonder if that's just a guess. That very well could be the case. Would not be the first time.
This is true.
All right, so Yossi, and then we're kind of moving on here. You playing any other lines on Nashville, and then anything on the
No, but I
Kings?
think that's that'll be a leverage spot I use. I'm gonna pop in some Nashville one, and then when that news comes out, I'll make sure I have enough to get over to San Jose one. I think if they aren't together, or just kind of adjust accordingly. But that's both those games start at the same time, so you can kind of if you're drawing dead, you can take your Couture shares and put them in the Nashville shares, or if you don't have the nuts, you could always do that as well. Take your San Jose one shares, pop them over to Nashville one. Probably going to be a third the ownership, if not more.
Could be, especially that combo if we're not certain about Arvidsson.
Yeah.
I've got nothing on the Kings besides if you need to punt. I put this guy in the cheat sheets, Grundstrom. He
LA 3 now?
No, I don't even think I'm playing the full stack, even though it's Kempe and Foley, like two guys I'm okay with. I don't even think you need to do that tonight, especially not against Nashville. If this is a weaker team, then maybe, but this is the LA Kings. This is the Nashville Predators. Like, the Preds haven't been great lately. They haven't even been good lately. But, I don't think you need to play LA 3. Just Grundstrom if you're looking for a super cheap one-off that, I guess has a decent theoretical floor. He's playing decent minutes, and he's shooting it at a good rate as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, last game of the night. We've got the Panthers and the Sharks. 3 implied total for Florida, 3.6 for San Jose. Samuel
Montembeau.
Yeah, Montembeau. There you go. And Martin Jones, of course, in net for the Sharks. Anything new here?
Montembeau. It looks like everything's kind of the same. Evander Kane out. Radek Simic is out for the Sharks. I think he's gone for the year. He's having knee surgery. So I think that I actually didn't check again. I think it might be Joachim Ryan on the top pairing with Brent Burns. So that might be a worthwhile punt. And then I think everything is the same for the Panthers.
Yep, Joachim Ryan back in, Kane not in. Steven wrote in chat, like, the news. I just saw it just now about Evander Kane. That's just terrible, terrible, terrible news.
What happened?
Go read about it on Twitter. I don't know if this is the best place to talk about it, but just look at the beat writers. But anyways, I mean, he'll be back at some point. Obviously, really tough situation there. But which side are you on here, if any side at all? Big total.
So I mean that's some brutal news, damn.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like San Jose 1's gonna be the most obvious play. San Jose 2 might sneak in there, and then like we were talking about before the show. I think we both expect this to be a pretty high event game. So Florida 1 is kind of a sneaky play. I think in GPPs they're expensive. They've been sitting in San Jose, I think, waiting. I think San Jose just got back from the road trip. So this is an interesting spot. If you want to get contrarian tonight, you could stack up Florida 1 with Montembeau or whatever his name is, and or just leave him off, obviously, because he's not a great play. But I kind of like the other side of this. I'm going to get to a couple shares, and then, like, obviously, San Jose 1 is my most owned line of the night, unless that ownership gets to be insane. I don't know. I'm just going to stick with it.
Yeah. I really like the call on Florida 1, so I'm definitely there. Dadonov just mispriced at 5K. Like, this is going to be a pretty good even strength matchup against San Jose. No Carlson still. San Jose they're hurting from that for sure. Vlasic's been better, obviously. Congrats if you got the Vlasic ceiling game. I know you did.
Oh, yeah.
Are you chasing that? You're not chasing that, right? I mean, he's 3,300. I guess it wouldn't be that chasey.
I always play Vlasic. Like, it was nice to get rewarded. I've been playing him all season long because I feel like he's underpriced, but maybe I'm just an idiot. So
he probably is. Yeah.
I will play him again, and like if I need that spot, but I'm not like looking to fit him in. I think Devin Tays is also right in that price range as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
One time, so
that's fair.
I mean, I'm trying to get as much Burns as possible, and then I also don't mind game stacking this a little bit. Maybe pop in a game stack or two and just kind of have the nuts. Maybe we have a low scoring evening. Who knows?
Yeah, I really like both sides of this. So, like I said, Florida 1 for sure. I wrote up San Jose 1. They're going to be one of my highest exposed. I don't need that much Florida 1 to get over the field here. So I think if you have like even 10%, maybe a little bit aggressive. I don't think they're going to be close to 10% owned. Decent total on the road. It's Martin Jones and net. San Jose's had terrible goaltending a lot of the season. I'm a little bit worried about those two lines going up against each other, but yeah, I definitely give the edge to the Couture line when they're going up against Barkov. Definitely give the edge to the Couture line when they're going up against Trocheck as well. So I'm just all over San Jose 1. We'll be definitely on Florida 1, and then Mr. Brent Burns. I know he's been poor lately. If you look at like what he's done the last couple weeks, the last month, hasn't been shooting at quite the rate you'd want if you're paying $6,800. But there's just nothing.
Rebound, though. So
yeah, there's nothing that I see that I can point to and say, okay, like this has changed. His situation has been the exact same the last couple weeks. Carlson's been out. Vlasic's been in. I mean,
he's got 11 shots in his last 3 games. He started shooting again.
Yeah, the attempts weren't great, is what I saw.
Yeah.
I mean,
I see. Okay. So you tend to look at more at shooting attempts over shots?
Yeah.
As a barometer?
Oh, always attempts for me.
Okay.
So that might be a differentiation point, I think. Because you might have a guy who attempts 10 shots in a game, but he puts 2 on net or 3 on net. It's like, well, yeah, maybe you got 4 of them randomly blocked or whatever, like deflected wide. Like, I don't know. There's I think there's more value in shot attempts, in my opinion. So, yeah, hoping for some big numbers out of this game. And yeah, Burns gonna be my highest exposed guy tonight. Shocker there, right?
Shocker.
Nothing more awful. He's over getting the flu. Oh yeah. All right. Anything else here, or anything else on this slate, kind of before we keep going?
All right. Let me just get your favorite filler stacks tonight for your high price lines. You got any?
Yeah. So
like in that 12 to 14K, 10 to 14.
Yeah, Buffalo 2.
Mm-hmm.
12 to 14 is Isles
15?
1. Is Isles 1 in that range? Yeah, Isles 1's in that range. St. Louis 2.
That is a good price for Isles 1.
What Winnipeg 2 is a little bit over that, but Arizona 1, same thing with Anaheim 2. And that's really about it. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, not a lot on offer, right?
Yeah.
I would love Detroit 1 if I thought they'd be together, but what are you gonna do?
Right, me too. I think they're gonna get some ownership if we were both interested in them. I think they're probably gonna be somewhat owned. So it's not like you're getting a 1% stack. I'd probably take a couple shots on them at that price, but I think people will be on them a little bit. All right, guys, feel free to give us a like. It does help us out, of course. Helps us continue to do this for free. So if you could hit the like button, that would be great. Give us a comment or whatever. Engage with us in some way. And check out that tweet on the Osmo.com Twitter account. You're going to want to check that out. We are giving away a free month of Osmo.com Premium. So it's super easy. You just answer a question, you retweet, and you tag a friend. And you get to talk about some fun sporting events of the past. All right. I think we have a pretty decent slate tomorrow. So before we...
6 games?
6 games? Yeah, all right. So we'll be back tomorrow.
6. Yeah.
Hopefully with some more money in our pockets.
All right, It's Pedersen night next night tomorrow, all right?
All right, you're already calling the plays for tomorrow. So we'll have the money for it after tonight. San Jose 1, Burns, Polak, Isles 1. Let's go.